You've probably heard the headlines. Ecolab is acquiring Ovivo's electronics division for $1.8 billion in a transaction that's set to close at the beginning of next year. And if you haven't heard of it yet, I've made a special episode just about that, as it is quite a historic moment, not only for the impressive EBITDA multiple they paid, but also for the validation of the water tech investment thesis in general, given the multiples SKion Water is realizing over that transaction. Today's episode is not about that dramatic shift of events, right?
Is that supposed to be funny?
No, today is about the other part of Ovivo, not only the one that stays, but also the new platform SKion Water is leveraging to rebuild an empire in a slightly different direction. That empire will draw on existing seeds, bets and strength within Ovivo, but also handpicked, targeted acquisitions, so that Reinhard Hubner is confident that
in 10 years, Ovivo will be back at the size where it is today.
How, where, when, with whom? Those are just some of the questions we'll answer today in this in-depth exploration of Ovivo with, aside from Reinhard, Elena Bailey, but also Mike Snodgrass and Sebastian Andreassen, with a special guest appearance of Frédéric Gionnet in the episode's closing game, so stick around until the end if you don't want to miss that. If it's your first time here, welcome to the world's #1 water tech and water finance podcast. I'm your host, Antoine Walter. Consider subscribing and I'll meet you on the other side.
I'm not going to mess around with what works well. Why would I touch it?
She's going to kill me if I answer that question.
I mean, I'm going to make it worse.
We did not sell because of that. We sold because we wanted to increase the bookings in membranes.
Everybody says their technology is different, but this is truly different.
It takes too long. I'm not patient enough for that.
We sold for X and they made 2X in the first year.
It costs so much money, it takes a lot of time. Everything you could possibly imagine goes wrong.
Valuations have gone up. And valuations have gone up to a level that personally I think long-term is not healthy.
But we don't need any bands to be successful and to grow.
Ideally, you want 1 + 1 to be 2 point something. For us, it's a 4.
You could be handed a great piece of technology, but if you don't know how to implement it or apply it, you're not going to be successful.
Beer is beer, more or less.
You can do things with it that you can't.
What goes down the toilet goes down the toilet.
Don't think I'm obsessed, but maybe I am.
We can steal the know-how.
We are targeting monopoly status.
And we can steal it for free and in a legal way, right?
SKion has not invested in any technology that hasn't paid off yet.
If you put too much pressure on people who are working very hard to make things happen anyways, what do you gain?
Let me start with that. The elephant in the room. You just had a big M&A event. I'm not interested in the transaction, which is not closed. You'll come back a fourth time to discuss that another time.
We can do that when it's closed, yeah?
What I'm interested in is you kicked off that journey, the SKion Water journey, and you kicked off the Ovivo journey 10 years ago, roughly. Within 10 years, you did the first recorded 10x in the history of the water sector, which I would translate as you've proven the investment thesis right. So now I'm looking into you as a crystal ball because you're opening a new cycle and I'd like to understand what's inside this new cycle. Off the bat, what is like the big vision for the next 10 years of Ovivo?
In 10 years, Ovivo will be back at the size where it is today. No doubt. We have some ingredients that will make it happen. One is something you will talk about later today, so I will not go into details. It's Cembrane. We have amazing traction with that one. PFAS is the other one that's on the technology side coming, and I'm convinced it will happen. We also want to embark on a journey to build the kind of industrial business we have in Europe, in the US and in Canada. We have Alar, who are doing a great job, but compared to what we do in Europe, it's tiny, right? I mean, we do 350 million euros turnover in industrial business in Europe, and that excludes France, Italy, and Spain, 3 huge countries. It must be no problem to come to something like 200 to 300 million turnover in industrial in North America. And that's one of the things that in the 10 years will happen. It will happen faster than in 10 years, that's for sure.
What I get is #1 focus is industrial.
Yes. Because we have such a strong base in Municipal, the work has been done. The team has done all the work, and Elena will explain to you later where we're going. So from my perspective as the holding CEO, they don't need me to do the Municipal business. They know how to do this and they will grow it and it will grow like crazy. But on the industrial side, I think some help is needed because we have the experience in Europe that the team here doesn't have. That's where we can contribute. I'm not going to mess around with what works well. Why would I touch it? I mean, I'm going to make it worse. But on the industrial side, I think we can contribute.
So let's take it into 2 parts, the organic and the inorganic. On the organic side, you have built that expertise in Europe. How will you bring that across to the US? How do you synergize?
Oh, I need a platform first. We need something inorganic. It does not work yes, it works. You can start from scratch, hire some good people and build an industrial business, but then it's not going to be finished before I retire. And I'm not going to retire soon. So no, we need to expedite this a bit. So we will try to do it with M&A as a foundation, a platform with people. It's all about people, right? Foundation, a strong company that has people who know how to do this. And then we can bring technologies to that thing. We can buy smaller companies and integrate them into that thing. The same thing we did in Europe with Envirochemie. When we bought Envirochemie in 2013, it had 90 million turnover. The group today has 350 million turnover. And it's partially organic and mostly also inorganic growth. The same thing we did in Europe, we'll do here.
But you mean a platform which is not Ovivo? So another platform?
No, we're going to be a division of Ovivo. But you need a platform within Ovivo. You need a starting point. If you start just with 3 or 4 people, it takes too long. I'm not patient enough for that.
The landscape has changed also a tiny bit since 2016. You're not the only one in the market for doing clever moves and clever acquisitions. There are very numerous private equity plays at work right now. Do you feel that's new competition?
I mean, let's be clear, valuations have gone up. And valuations have gone up to a level that personally I think long-term is not healthy, but that's realities we have to face. We'll never be the one who pays the most because we have something else to offer. We have something very unique to offer in terms of a very long-term strategy, team that is there to support and a vision of where we want to go and an ability to keep people. Like if you look at the Ovivo team, nobody left after we privatized Ovivo. Nobody left. If you look at the companies we buy, the people stay as employees of the company they used to own when they sell their business to us. And they stay for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years because we built a culture where people like to be part of SKion Water. And that is a value. So can I buy a company that has been through 3 private equities and give that speech? No. After 3 private equities, the train has left the station. Companies that are still owned by a founder or a family or something, they get it. They get that story because they know what it's like. They meet their employees at the bakery or the supermarket in the morning, right?
So the trick is your long-term commitment, which means that you are building the culture because culture is on a lot of billboards, but it's a different thing between writing it and doing it.
Yeah, and it's people. It's all about people. I mean, we tailor the integration to what is necessary to capture some synergies, but we'd never take the big corporate approach where you this is all that changes now that you're part of us. Most things don't change. With Ovivo, almost nothing changed when we bought Ovivo, and that's why Ovivo was successful. Again, everybody stayed. We keep the people, and the people drive the success, and then you give them support and resources and whatever. So the key thing is the people play, and that's why I think we have a chance. And we did this in Europe. We can do this here.
So you answered my organic question with an inorganic answer. So I'm going to come back with the organic. How do you bring the expertise of the European SKion across to the US?
Not easy because all our companies are full. Everybody's super busy because we have crazy backlog, crazy order intake, which is nice. It's a good problem to have. But what we've started to do, we take people and we put them for a month or 2 months or 3 months into a sister company to participate in a project that is entailing a technology that we want to transfer to a different country. So we had people from Europe here with Cembrane and Ovivo to work on projects with a Cembrane membrane. They spent a month or 2 working on these projects, and then they go back and they worked on a real project and they've learned what it's like. It's not a training class, it's really working on the project. And we've done this with other technologies that we just take people, you move them, you have them participate in a project, and then they go back home and then they have that knowledge. We also sometimes are lucky when we can transfer people. Like we have a guy in Colombia. He was at Envirochemie for 10 years, 8 years, whatever. And he came from Colombia originally. He wanted to go back to his family. He's now with Ecopreneur, our South American company in Chile, Peru, and Colombia. And he has all the knowledge from Envirochemie and he has all the network into the people in Envirochemie. So with one person, Ecopreneur has access to all the knowledge of Envirochemie because what he doesn't know, he knows whom to ask. So we're also trying to move people around a bit. But it's taking people, have them do the work. You can't take the knowledge and put it in a box and say, here's your box and go with it. It's again, the people.
Your press release at the time of the announcement of the upcoming not closed transaction insisted on how you will build more synergies because now new body of Ovivo integrates better in terms of application and vertical. So how does that work? Is it like cross companies team coming together or is it project by project?
It's a mix. I mean, we have the head office component where we obviously gained some capacity because a large part of Ovivo is leaving Ovivo. So we have some capacity that we can use for activities in the group that we don't cover at the moment. Just simple examples. We have at the moment no group treasury. We never looked at treasury at the group level because of the way we were built up from nothing, right? HR. We have very limited HR capability on the group level. This is stuff that Ovivo has, and Ovivo has been really good at it. So we will use the people from the head office for stuff in the group wherever we can to leverage the know-how that was created here, because Ovivo just was the most professional organization because they were listed compared to family-owned mid-sized companies that we integrated into what the other group companies are. That's one. On the operational and technical side, it's a combination of what I talked about in the people transfer, but I'll give you another example. We have customers in Germany with Envirochemie where we built plants for them, and like we had a situation for NEOM, the water system for the NEOM hydrolyzer for the ammonium production. Envirochemie was full. They just couldn't do it, but it's a customer of them. It's Thyssen. They built the hydrolyzers, right? Envirochemie couldn't execute. They were full, but they could do the design because they had done many projects with Thyssen. Ovivo's energy division in the UK, they have a lot of expertise in membranes, and they have executed lots of projects in Saudi Arabia. We just passed the project onto Ovivo's energy division, and they executed, and the customer super happy. We have another similar situation right now where this is the case. So this is the kind of synergies that come on top, right? Just use the know-how and the people and the resources, and then we move projects around. Somebody has a customer relationship, the customer has a project, we don't have capacity, a sister company will have the capacity. We have a customer who wants to know whether we have service technicians in South America. Yes, we have. They are not called Ovivo or Enviro, but they're called Ecopreneur, but they are there, and they are SKion Water. So this is the kind of synergies that we leverage to create value organically.
On the inorganic side of the equation, how do you see the coming 2-3 years? Is it you give a bit of money to Ovivo and you let them run, or you say, no, part of the expertise is also building the portfolio, approaching the right people and building the right tracks?
Again, we have to differentiate between their core business today. They know how to do this. I'm not going to mess around with that. On the industrial side, we have the knowledge that Ovivo doesn't have. So we will help.
Municipal PFAS is going to be within...
They do it. Let them do it.
And industrial...
And I mean, the Cembrane membrane we bring to all of SKion Water, right? I mean, that's where we benefit from Ovivo and we take it to everywhere. We have huge projects in Europe with Cembrane with a lot of support from Ovivo in the know-how transfer, right, to make it happen. But on the industrial side, that's the spot where Ovivo internally doesn't have the experience and the know-how. That's what we will bring. So part of my team will work on this industrial strategy with the Ovivo team. We will combine part of my team with the Ovivo team and we'll figure it out together.
If you have to take some bets, like you're not just going to buy industrial companies because they're industrial and it's written on the company building. You will go by verticals and say, in that specific industry, there's this specific need or this upcoming regulation or that upcoming thing. What are those bets?
There's not one big bet in industrial. Industrial is so diverse. It's much more diverse in municipal. In municipal, we did 2 bets, right? Cembrane and PFAS. That's the bets. Everything else is very solid, bottom-up hard work, but no bets. On
PFAS
industrial...
could be industrial as well.
Yes. But that we have here already, right? So there's nothing we can contribute from Europe or from the holding to PFAS. Nobody knows more about PFAS than these guys here, or girls in this case. There's no single big bet in industrial. Process water for industrial is relatively standardized. It's always membrane systems, and you either go from some raw water source or from city water to demin or purified or whatever you want it to be. That's fairly simple. Wastewater, every customer plant is different. I mean, yes, you have paper and beer where it's relatively similar. Beer is beer, more or less. But as soon as you get to craft beer, the volumes are not so high, but then there's more solids in there, blah, blah. That's where it's relatively standardized. If you go into food, it's already depending on the mix of what is done in that food factory. The wastewater, you typically need lab testing and possibly piloting before you can even come up with the treatment train. And that's the difference to the muni business. I mean, what goes down the toilet goes down the toilet, and sometimes there's some industrial influence into the wastewater treatment plant, sometimes there's not. But it's relatively standardized. The treatment trains are standardized. We don't do lab testing and piloting when we sell a muni system, right? But in every wastewater situation in industrial, you basically start with a problem and you have to develop the most economical solution. There is no such thing as the 3 bets. It's hard work, bottom up, project by project, customer by customer. But we have it. We've done it all. 40 years of Envirochemie as a group. We've done hundreds and hundreds of projects with every wastewater you can imagine. So the know-how is there. So we can help. We have a shortcut because we can steal the know-how and we can steal it for free and in a legal way, right? But the work has to be done. The lab testing will have to be done. The piloting will have to be done. The groundwork has to be done on site. It's hard work.
I'm going to challenge you. You can't do the 3 bets because You're right. If you have the technology, then it's about finding the projects, and then it might be a lot of tailoring. But you could also say there is a deficit in manufacturing capability in North America. And so one bet of Ovivo industry is we are going to build a big factory and a lot of skids. Or you could say, no, actually, the full business in industry is whatever technology as a service. So we will need to build a financing arm. And
okay, fair enough. There's 2 or 3 things. One, we will have to do more recycling. The water is running out in many places. So recycling and closing loops will be big. That means you have to have solutions for the treatment of the wastewater and then for the recovery afterwards. And you have to find a way for that to be economical and also to deal with the brine and so on. So one big piece of the puzzle is recycling. We have a lot of experience in Europe. We do recycling in Europe. We also have water scarcity in Europe by now, which is, I never thought it would happen in Germany ever. And then another one is you don't want to do large projects on site in the factory as much as you can avoid it. It's very expensive, it's very risky, and it's annoying the customer because it disturbs their processes. So to modularize and do offsite production is another bet. And that is where maybe manufacturing capability comes into play. Enviro is building plants that are contained of 40-foot modules. It's not containers. The thing, each can cost 40,000 euros because it needs to be insulated and all kinds of fancy static stuff so that it holds the weight and blah, blah, blah. But we have built systems that are 25 of these modules next to each other and on top of each other. So you can do everything offsite. You can wet commission to test, and then you disassemble it, drive it to the place, and install it there. This kind of stuff is something where we might indeed need the capability to do this in the US to be closer to the customer and to be faster. That is one, the modularization, and that then also helps with water as a service or wastewater as a service, because if you have to pour a lot of concrete, it's highly risky if something goes wrong and you cannot recover your asset, right? If the asset is modular, you can take your asset and you can at least put it somewhere else. So that could be a second bet. I still think the third bet also for industrial is Cembrane, because there's a lot of applications for pre-treatment, for post-treatment, whatever. But let's see. 2 bets are also enough for me. It doesn't always have to be 3.
let me suggest a third one, and then I'm collecting your input on that. If I look at your competition, especially in North America, they more and more try to close the full process sheet, like having a solution from A to Z, which everything comes from in-house, because wherever you create boundaries, you potentially create trouble. Today, you have certain elements in that chain, but you don't have the full chain. Would that be like a target for you to go from the very beginning of the pre-treatment until to the last polishing step?
In SKion Water, we have the full chain.
In
Not
every
here.
single... Okay.
Not here, but in SKion Water, we pretty much, for most industrial applications, have the full chain. Not in every industry, right? There's industries where we are just not as active. But in principle, we have the full chain from a know-how perspective. And yes, customers will want a one-stop shop. They might also want you to operate it. And that makes also sense. We operate a lot of plants in Europe for customers. In industrial, it's different from municipal. It's not their core business. It's a nuisance. Water is a nuisance for many industrial customers. So yes, we will happily operate. If they want financing, they can get financing. That's no problem. We can do this ourselves. We can do this with partners. Doesn't necessarily get cheaper when you do financing, right? Because everybody in the chain wants to earn, but it's possible, no problem. A few industries where we have gaps, yes. Can we start with all industries at the same time? No. Obviously, we start where we are the strongest, and then we take it from there. Overall, I think we're not in lack of technology. We just need to get it done.
To round off that conversation, you gave us the vision. The vision in 10 years is that...
In 10 years, Ovivo will be back at the size where it is today.
That's a nice target, but it's in 10 years, it's super far in the future. If we do a retro engineering of that, what needs to happen in the next 12 months?
Okay, the next 12 months is maybe a bit too short. Give me 18, because first we need to close the transaction. That's a lot of work, and we don't know when it happens. It depends on regulatory approval.
Okay.
And we can only really start doing the new stuff when this one is closed and the dust has settled, because it's a lot of work for the team. We do a carve-out. It's complex. You have to do transition services. It's all kinds of complexities. Within 12 months, I would love to have the nucleus in place for the industrial. I want to have real commercial traction with PFAS. And with Cembrane, we're expanding the capacity. The team will tell you later. That will be in place. No doubt. It will be that one will be in place in less than 12 months.
Can you define real commercial traction with PFAS so that we put some pressure in that direction?
No, we don't. If you put too much pressure on people who are working very hard to make things happen anyways, what do you gain? You just frustrate them, or you create behavior where they feel like they have to do something because of the pressure and not doing the right thing. This is an amazing team. They will do whatever it takes.
A very good answer to a very bad question. Thanks, Reinhard. Well, thank you for that vision statement. Let's move into the second section. We'll look at how we can transition into the daily business of Ovivo. Elena, if you Want to join me? But right before taking on that second segment, let me thank today's sponsor, Simple Lab. Indeed, testing water and everything around it should be simple. With Simple Lab, you choose what to test, from drinking water and wastewater to soil, air, food, and surfaces, and they handle the rest. Kits arrive at your door with free round-trip shipping, samples go to certified labs, and results come back fast, concise, and actionable. Trusted by leading brands and growing teams, Simple Lab offers hundreds of ways to better understand your environment. Get started today at gosimplelab.com. It's the first link in the description. Thanks Simple Lab for supporting my work, and it's now time to welcome Elena Bailey, director at Ovivo North America, and amongst multiple other fields, as you'll hear in a second, responsible for Ovivo's marketing, a vertical in which Ovivo especially shined at this year's WEFTech, where this episode was recorded, as they won a well-deserved Best Large Island Booth award under the leadership of their marketing guru, Frédéric Gionnet, whom you'll get to learn about at the end of the episode, so stay along for a game you'll not want to miss. But without further ado, Elena, thanks for joining me. We got the vision. We got the vision of someone buying company. I'd like to start with the receiving end, because you went into Ovivo through the acquisition of EnviroQuip.
Yeah.
Did I get that one right?
That's right.
That's back in 2006.
Yes.
You were one of the owners. Reinhard told about the owners who stay on board for a while. What's the secret?
I think it was a fantastic way to kind of separate how they moved forward. So prior to our acquisition, they were basically buying stressed companies that maybe they were losing money, they didn't have the right support, whatever that may be. We did not sell because of that. We sold because we wanted to increase the bookings in membranes. So we started with MBR back in 2001. And the best way for us to do it is to get some different capital. Having said that, we sold for X and they made 2X in the first year. So it became a very profitable acquisition for them. And we sold at a very good price, but it was because we had a lot of technology, a lot of patents, synergies within the organization. And they actually modeled that on all the acquisitions after that. After that, we had a number of acquisitions in both municipal and other areas, but the majority of them were not stressed companies anymore. So from an owner point of view, they promised us 5 things and they did all 5 things. And that's why I'm still here.
So what you're saying is that culture is not just written on the wall, it's you living it.
Yeah, and they didn't try to change us. They just wanted to help us to grow. And that's really the main reason we did. We were doing a lot of innovation. We were a very entrepreneurial company. And now that's what we look for, if you can do that.
You mentioned innovation. That is something which really stood out when we were discussing in the lead to that conversation. You mentioned the amount of your revenue at Ovivo, which goes into R&D.
Yeah.
And it's much more than the market's average. So what is that amount and why do we invest so much?
Okay, I was told I can't say that. So I'm going to say 2-digit number.
Okay.
It's a 2-digit number.
I'm just going to give context because it's
very significant, but it's very strategically chosen. So we have like Reinhard said, we're pushing money into Cembrane and into metrics on PFAS. But we also put a lot of money on our legacy technologies. For example, you probably want to see the SEL, which is the submerged effluent launder. Clarifers are 150 years old, but that development ended up raising our bookings in that group to 100 million. So we put a lot of money in it. The screens behind us, that's a drum evolution into the Aussie. We put money into that. So we help the groups, but it's done by the experts. So we don't have an R&D group. Other companies have an R&D. We don't have that. Within the groups, if they have ideas, we help them to develop it and we help them to get patents. And that's how the entrepreneurial, basically, personality grows.
Get me to the details of that. You don't have an R&D group and you invest double-digit in R&D.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
You don't have to, because the people that have the passion, they're the ones who come up with the new ideas. That's how that works.
So is it project-driven innovation? Like a project would require some R&D, so you're going to do that?
Like, for example, when I was a product manager and they put money into it to develop a new product within my group, basically you just say, okay, it's going to cost me $50,000. What are you going to do with it? Well, it's going to be patented. It's going to be unique. It's going to solve this and ABC problem. Okay, you got that money. So you have to make a case, obviously, but we haven't, and SKion has not invested in any technology that hasn't paid off yet. In a way, we have a good reputation that what we say we're going to try to do, it does happen. So that's why they keep giving us the money. I would say that's how we earned it.
Talking of giving you the money, actually, if I try to paraphrase what Reinhard said before that, on the industrial side, they're going to support Ovivo for getting you to the next stage.
Yeah.
But on the municipal side of things, they trust you to have the right instincts, the right targets, and the right directions as to where you want to go. To which I'd like to know, what are those places you want to go?
What you don't see when you look at the different product groups is the fact that we basically bought Varic, for example, to complement our anaerobic flow sheet. Ideally, you want 1 + 1 to be 2 point something. For us, it's a 4 because not only we grew the anaerobic, we grew the biogas group, and now bringing in some of the technologies from POX, which is called Elovac, we actually quadrupled the bookings. That's a strategic synergies kind of thing, right? So I think we're very good at that.
How do you predict the synergies?
Well, you kind of know that if you have biogas and anaerobic digestion experts, they both think the same way. But if you put the right environment for them, they're going to grow. For PFAS, it is the newest thing that we're investing in, but we already are making money with SRC, which is our membrane division. Ideally, what we want to do is we want to use what we're doing with SRC on the water side and introduce PFAS to tie with SRC because that's the future. In a case like that, we're helping Katie's, group, but we're also keeping SRC because if you're going to have a PFAS problem, you still would like to sell SRC. So now you're taking 1 + 1. It could be 3. It could be 4. So we're doing it either by product combination, technology combination, or market expansion.
Talking of that vertical or market expansion, is operations a frontier for you, or is it something you might be doing in the future?
I don't think so. I don't think on the Muni side we're interested in that right now. We are very, very good at technologies and solutions, and I don't think we need to operate plants to be successful. We are making money, and that's one thing that I wanted to say is that even since 2006, the municipal business was profitable. It has been a very steady business. And if it's something else that we're going to do, maybe we have to buy a company like that. But I don't think it's going to come organically from what we have because we don't have those expertise. And we are very focused on expertise.
So let me take, again, the contrarian view to what you just said. You're profitable and you are a steady business. If the target is to 10x your revenue over the next 10 years, you might want to not be profitable and to be much more aggressive than steady. Does that contradict your culture?
No, we're not going to do that. We always have something new that we will put our money in it, but not at the expense of losing money. We're very careful. So when I was saying SEL for clarifiers or the Aussie, for example, or we're developing a flare right now for the biogas group. We have that money, and then we put a lot of money on something new, which would have been SRC, but it was always calculated that we would still be profitable. We put as much money in it that you can grow that, and then every couple of years, we introduce something new. So we started SRC, honestly, about 2021. Now, 2 years later, we started PFAS. Maybe in 2 years, we do something else.
I was going to say
so they're
exactly
not going to happen.
First investment in Cembrane in 2021, you take it over in 2022. E2 Metrics, you take it over in 2024.
Exactly.
We're in 2025. It's a busy year.
Exactly. Every couple of years.
What's your bet for 2026?
I would love to see something, and I can't speak for SKion or my boss for that matter, but
you just said that you're absolutely trusted on the municipal side.
Thank you,
so
Reinhard.
use that trust.
Reuse is very, very big right now for us. We are seeing direct potable reuse. So it may be something to complement our offering in that area. And biogas is extremely important because we have plants now that we contribute to that they recover all the energy. And I would say hopefully in one of those two areas. In Texas, where I'm based out of, for the first time, we're going to see direct potable reuse. We never heard of anything like that. So that's an area to grow. And then I'm hoping with SRC that we can see a strong presence on reuse, and that's indirect potable reuse for data centers. That's a very big business that is growing. And actually, it's even happening in Texas where we don't have water.
But exactly, if we take Texas, data centers, water reuse, you could take frac water from the Permian and then reuse that until it goes to
No, wastewater. We're talking about reuse. Like we go our wastewater traditional technologies and then put SIC, put RO, and then you give data centers, purple pipe.
My question was more, it's going to be cross-boundary between the municipal and the industrial world.
Not really, because you can have those plants at the site of the wastewater plant. You just basically finish the job and send them the water. Send them a purple pipe. We won't even go in the data centers. We don't need to. I mean, the only way to stop using our water, fresh water, is to give them another venue to get that, right? So wastewater reuse. But we are seeing that potable water is going to be the number one need. So that's one way to go. I don't think we'd be inside the data centers. We'd be using it. That's definitely our focus right now, is to work with our existing customers that we know how to do business. We sell SIC anyway. Cembrane can do the membranes there. You can do RO, do a purple pipe. And if you want to get direct potable reuse, then we can do all that as well. But that's how I kind of see it.
We got the 10-year vision for Ovivo. But now to be specific about your division, if you go now, maybe 10 years is difficult to project yourself. Let's say 2030. What is your division by 2030?
I would say it's 50% industrial, 50% muni. And I would say muni is 50% wastewater and 50% water, because that's an area we can grow in. And SIC is helping us to get into that market seriously, but I'm hoping that we're split 50-50 and that industrial is 50-50.
As we will have a deeper dive into SIC, I'll keep that one for the deeper dive.
Yeah.
But the other big bet you have right now is PFAS. How do you see the development of the PFAS markets in North America?
I would say we have an advantage over our competition, at least in North America, that we have the backing of experts in the water and wastewater business. If you put in a PFAS treatment system on the back end of a wastewater plant or a water plant, we already have those connections. We have the installed base and the trust of the owners. So for us, yes, it is fantastic technology because we're focusing on distraction on site, but it's also the fact that we can leverage all of our existing customers because we're very strong with the relationships in a water plant and a wastewater plant. I would say the plan is also to grow on landfills, but quite a bit of it, it's a new area for us. That's not something we're very comfortable in. But some of the landfills are now bringing their waste, to be treated for PFAS into the treatment plants. And now, again, we have those customers. So I think we have the best entry to market compared to some of the other competitors here.
Which is exactly where I would see an opportunity for you to triple down. I know you made clear you don't want to be unprofitable, that you don't want to do anything crazy, but hear me out. You have your basis of existing customers, you have a super cool PFAS destruction technology, and if you look in 5 or 10 years, a big differentiator is going to be the number of references that a specific technology has to get adopted. You could fast track that if you say, you know what, we're going to make unbeatable conditions in all our existing plants so that our customers will adopt our E2 Matrix solution, and that way you build critical mass, you acquire a data set that no one else can have, and you beat a strong differentiation at the expense of having to invest in PFAS destruction ahead of the curve.
She's going to kill me if I answer that question. I don't think I want to answer that question. No, I mean, we're committed to everything we put our money into, right? Everybody knows we're going to go all the way to the end. How far do you grow it? I don't know. But the philosophy has always been we have to be profitable so we're steady so we can take care of our customers because it's not just all about innovation. If you ask me 39 years why I'm still doing this, I always give the same answer: to promote the latest and greatest innovations and never walk away from a customer. In my mind, if you put in so much emphasis in that you're taking risks, you're not going to take care of the customers. And if that happens, I'm not going to be here. That's my answer.
Strong answer? I like
Very
that.
strong answer. Very clear answer, too, because I believe in that. I don't think you can keep on innovating and not take care of the existing customers. I really don't see us doing that. I could be wrong that somebody else has a different idea, but I don't think so.
She dared you. So if someone wants to jump in.
I don't know. Mark, I don't think Mark would disagree with that either. Yeah, we're good.
Same reverse engineering question than the one I asked Reinhard. That's the vision. That's how it will develop. I don't ask you for names or project because it's not the purpose. It's more the idea. What is happening in the next 12 months?
So one of the things that we want to become more focused on is to take advantage of the technologies that we already have to get into new markets. So right now we're working with our carousel process, which is the main aeration ditch, to the clarifiers with the SEO, submerged effluent launder, and then we put in SIC, and that is our solution for tertiary, but it's for indirect potable reuse or direct potable reuse. This is something new that we're trying to do. Another thing we're trying to do is have a complete biosolid solution. So where you remove the nutrients, you're also removing nutrients, phosphorus and nitrogen. And then you create something with the biogas, you reduce the greenhouse gases, but then you go to the next level, maybe reuse that energy. So there's a lot of things that we can do that we haven't taken advantage of. And then I see SIC with PFAS on a lot of the projects together because we're seeing that on our water customers as a very big need. So if we do all these three, that we call it MIS, Municipal Integrated Solutions, if we can do that, I think it would give better value to the client, but it would also help our growth.
And still, if I keep my 12-month time frame, so in 1 year from now, let's say next WEFTEC, what is a milestone or a key performance indicator which tells you, oh, we did right?
Well, Reinhard wanted to buy time, so he's not going to be ready to buy an acquisition that we can see any benefits, let's say industrially, right? You're not going to see that. I would like for us to get to the point that we're 50% water and 50% wastewater because our SIC growth keeps growing in the water side, and on PFAS, it's going to grow on the water side.
What's your ratio today?
10 to 90.
Oh, so
but
within 1 year?
With the POs that we have now, if you consider that to be, this is the first time in bookings that it might end up being a third or 40%. So we already are shifting because we got some very big POs, which I'm not going to say because they're going to talk about it.
And then 50-50, it's where it stabilizes or then it keeps trending?
I would say, the cycle through the years has always been wastewater is steady. Water goes up and down. But I think with the scarcity of water and all of the PFAS issues, I don't think water is going to fluctuate like it has been. So I think it would be steady. So we would have two steady business. The main difference was wastewater. If you have like 200 million, it's always going to be there. On the water side, you might get a big job. You may not get a big job. But for us, I think with the focus of SIC and with PFAS, we should be able to get to 50-50 on the water side. And it would be a steady business. So it's not going to be if it's going to happen or not.
Well, thanks a lot for that vision of what's happening in the next 12 months and what's happening specifically on the part which can grow organically and move organically. Yeah. We discussed one of your bets, which is SIC. I think that's our next session. So Thanks a lot, Elena.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Welcome back. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I'm welcoming 2 Texans, right?
1 Texan. I live in Austin.
And I live in California.
Okay. So you're not next to the plant.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. SIC. I'm being told for as long as I'm doing the podcast that ceramics are the future. And the future is depending on where you're looking at. Sometimes the future is immediate, sometimes it's not. What I'm interested in is, do you have like a killer application or set of applications where SIC is not the future, but the present?
I think you have to look at it on a global perspective, and what the killer application is may depend on the region that you're active in. My primary focus is obviously on the North American municipal side, and right now we're seeing tremendous growth and demand on the drinking water side. Silicon carbide is an excellent technology for drinking water applications across all aspects of drinking water. A lot of old aging infrastructure, a lot of old gravity filter plants that need to get upgraded, whether it's treatment requirements or capacity demand due to increases in populations. Obviously, there will always be greenfield, new construction plants. There's also hollow fiber plants out there that need replacement. And there is quite a strong demand on the drinking water side. And that's really fueling a lot of our focus and our growth right now. Elena touched on it a little bit, but reuse as well is another big area.
Just for the non-membrane geeks, what is like the killer reason why it's a success for you? Like if you had to take like a couple of characteristics of SiC
Yeah.
compared to traditional membranes.
I apologize for sort of a broad answer, but I think the simple answer is you can do things with it that you can't with other membranes. Our tagline is limitless possibilities, but there's quite a bit of truth to that. All I've done in my career is membranes. I started over 25 years ago making polymeric membranes in a lab. So I have good experience with them. I know how those materials work, what they're capable of, but what they're also limited by. I remember about 10 years ago when I first went to Cembrane to visit them, they have this little desktop unit with this candy bar size piece of silicon carbide membrane in it. And the water was just screaming through it at extremely low pressures. And it took me about a second to look at that and go, okay, you can do some stuff with this. This is truly different. Everybody says their technology is different, but this is truly different. It really, truly is a step change. And it all goes down to what those properties are of silicon carbide. It's hydrophilic, it's hard, extremely porous, and chemically inert. That's the DNA of silicon carbide, and that's why we've doubled down on this over and over again.
So doubling down on it, again, like I had with Elena, I have an example with you of someone who came in through an acquisition and stayed along. Okay, not as long yet, but it will come, I'm pretty sure. I didn't mean that like in a mean way. Do you have a crystal ball? Because it seems like you had one. Like you built a factory in Texas before the tariffs. How much of an asset is it now to be able to stand on two legs, one in Denmark, one in Texas?
It's a tremendous asset, especially now that we're seeing the uprising of ceramics in the water treatment space in North America. Being BABA compliant is a major asset, helping us winning jobs. We are now based in Hutto, just north of Austin, which is right in the heart of Ovivo's innovation center as well, which means that within a very close proximity, we are manufacturing silicon carbide from grains of sand to the final product. And we are working very closely with the team that are deploying SiC. So we really get the full circle innovation. On top of that, it's a tumultuous time with tariffs. So there is a level of tariff protection in the fact that we are manufacturing in the US. A lot of our raw materials are still made out of Europe, but we do have an edge being able to produce out of Texas. And US is a good place to manufacture. It's becoming more and more attractive as well.
The global share between polymerics and ceramics is roughly 93-7, and it's been steady over the past decades. First, in the markets you're in, do you see that 93-7, or do you already see like a shift? And second, with the upcoming changes in regulations, do you see like a unique moment in time for ceramics in general and silicon carbide in particular?
First of all, I think the 93.7 share, it has grown in favor of ceramic slightly, but the entire market has grown over the last 10, 20 years tremendously.
I've seen Charlie Walker from JWI was here at the beginning of this, and they are my source. So I'm starting from that.
But the market has grown, and every single ceramic player out there has grown a lot. I think one thing you're alluding to is the upcoming PFAS ban, which is a big topic now in the membrane space that can potentially impact 70% of UF membranes that are supplied onto the market. Obviously, that's going to be a transition there. What we're looking at in particular is, of course, the submerged PVDF replacement market. That obviously we think is a bullish moment for SiC. But we don't need any bans to be successful and to grow and to reach the targets that we've set out for the next 3 to 5 years.
What are those targets?
On the long run, our vision is we want to make SiC a global standard in water treatment. That's been our vision ever since we started the company. Now we can see the light ahead of the tunnel. You see how SiC is able to outperform other technologies. It has all the ingredients to achieve that vision. We have a great family in Ovivo that's very committed to this as well, as you've heard from the previous speakers. The performance is there. We have the land. We have the capacity to build what is necessary to achieve that. On the capacity side, what I can tell you right now, anything we produce, we can invoice it. So my number one focus is to squeeze every single membrane module out of both our factories in Denmark and US and send an invoice to our customers. Next year, we are going to increase our capacity with 50%. And in 27, we will have double the capacity that we have today. We have a 5-year expansion plan. We have the land to do it. We need equipment. We need more people. But this is our number one focus right now.
Elena was mentioning the double-digit percentage R&D investments. What would be like typical examples within the SiC realm of those investments?
I think our biggest investment to date really has gone into the application development. We got this great technology. We knew it could do special things, but you still have to figure out how to make it work. There was no roadmap in municipal world, both water and wastewater, on how to use ceramic technology. I mean, we knew it had potential. We knew it could do different things, but we kind of had to blaze that trail ourselves. So a lot of effort went into pilot testing, application development. We certainly stubbed our toe many times, but with the incredible patience of our senior management, we had the backing and support to be able to continue to develop those applications and understand the details of how to make it work. I mean, at the end of the day, you could be handed a great piece of technology, but if you don't know how to implement it or apply it, you're not going to be successful. One of the philosophies that we subscribe to is that water and wastewater treatment's basically just a big chemistry problem that you got to figure out. And it's those core fundamentals on how to actually treat water that ultimately provide the biggest value. When you couple that with a unique, special, and innovative technology, then you can really start making some big change, make something truly special. So we really value both aspects of that. And we've been lucky to have, I think, the best of both worlds in this SiC journey.
You mentioned pilots, which gets me curious because with 2025, people know that you have superior flux when you're using a ceramics, that you can backwash easily. The perks are 2 Google searches away. So what needs to be piloted? Like, what specific assumptions need to be tested in a pilot?
That's a great question. And it's funny because I used to hate piloting. It's like, costs so much money. It takes a lot of time. Everything you could possibly imagine goes wrong. But first and foremost, lots of times we're required to do it on the drinking water market here in the US. We have no choice but to pilot it. So obviously we've been really, really heavily active in piloting. But as we got more into piloting, my attitude completely flip-flopped. And I saw this as essentially the greatest opportunity and greatest methodology to sell and promote the technology because you get to show the performance. A customer doesn't have to listen to me make some sales spiel about how amazing this is. We can focus on actually showing it to them. And the thing that gets me most excited is when we go into a project or pilot opportunity and we have competition because we just let the data speak for itself. We let the customer experience what it's capable of doing and they can see firsthand that what we're saying is actually true. And so my attitude on piloting is completely changed. There's no better sales tool than it.
In terms of crazy R&D, is there a chance to see like a reverse osmosis SiC?
You might have to create a new type of science to be able to. You're delighted.
I've seen companies doing it.
Yeah.
Not with great success, but doing it.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the fundamentals of reverse osmosis and the properties required to make it work and all the laws of thermodynamics and all that stuff. Maybe that would be a hard task, but who knows? I shouldn't say it's not possible, but
I'm just thinking from an application perspective, given the applications which I've heard from our conversations so far would be interesting for Ovivo to grow into. I'm thinking if you had that one more ace down your sleeve,
you never know,
which might go through acquisitions. Don't think I'm obsessed, but maybe I am. You heard the targets of you driving the growth towards 50-50 next year. And then you have also these ambitious targets to like double the capacity and extend all of that. Is sky the limit? Because you say established, like silicon carbide is established as a water treatment process. But established can mean a lot of stuff. It can be like you have a healthy 30%, or it can mean you have word domination and everything is ceramics.
What we mean by that is, we have a very long-term time frame when we work on these things, which is good being part of the SKion family because the time horizon is not every quarter; it's on multi-decades. So it's gonna take a lot of time to achieve that goal.
Word domination or reasonable market share?
We are targeting monopoly status in subsections of drinking water. We are not targeting to have a minority share. So when you talk about drinking water as a market, we have identified a couple of subsections where we are very focused on, especially on the sand filter replacement market, where we can do tremendous things on increasing the flow rate, improving the footprint, and reducing the chemical consumption, where SSC can do something truly unique. And we're targeting world domination. We're targeting a monopoly status in those subsections of the market, and they are plenty big, those markets, to sustain our next electronics types division scale up.
Sand filter replacements. Do you have another one you can give me?
We do recovery of backwash water. This is also a market where we're selling a lot. They're not big plants, but the number of plants are tremendous. 5 to 10% of the all filtered water is backwashed, and SSC here again can also do something very special.
And
we have
the magical number. So if you have a third one,
we have some industrial applications on inorganic solids removal, where we're also seeking world domination in mining in particular. Scrubber water treatment, where we're doing very well as well. But of course, drinking water is the mother load, the big application. Right now, it's 70% of our market share. It's been growing steadily. And we expect in the future that's going to be by far the biggest application that we're working on.
So I threw arrow at the wall. It didn't stick. Let me throw another one at the wall. What about MBRs?
When we started, MBR is a red ocean market. It's a highly competitive market. You can put 50 to 100 MBR suppliers into a membrane tank, and there is certain limitations to what SiC can provide of value. I mentioned sand filter replacement before. We can improve the flow sheet. We can drastically reduce the overall flow sheet and are competitive against polymeric and conventional treatment by a lot. In MBR, that's not the case. We cannot improve the process in any meaningful way. It's a highly competitive market where we have a hard time being competitive.
You can improve the backwash. You can improve the durability. You can
get 10-year warranty on a polymeric today. What are you going to do? 15 years, 20 years? Okay. It's tough. It's
Fair
very
enough.
tough to compete there. Then you have some industrial applications that are smaller market, but and in wastewater, the tendency is not that you want to spend a ton of money on a premium product. You want to get things done in a lowest possible cost basis, unlike in drinking water, where a premium technology is something that is more valuable.
If we could just add a couple of things on the MBR question. You look at MBR, you're dealing with a biomass, you're dealing with a lot of solids. And that biomass essentially becomes your rate limiting step in terms of sustainable flux. With that in mind, you don't get the big flux differential that you do on, say, a drinking water or reuse applications. So the economics just don't map out as well as they do in those applications. Don't get me wrong, our first big focus with SiC was in MBR, and the technology works fantastic in MBR. I mean, you could do things you can't do with polymeric membranes in an MBR. You can clean it as much as you want. You don't have to worry about the membrane crapping out or breaking down. So it actually is a fantastic technology for MBR, but with the economic pressures on any particular project for MBR, it's not fun getting beat up, so to speak. So, we'll focus on where our strengths are.
So it seems like everything I throw at the wall is not very inspired. So I'll let you a joker card to throw something at the wall. What is that moonshot application which might be the next big thing for SiC?
Well, we're still very bullish on storm flow treatment. Storm flow discharges are a big problem these days. Storms are getting bigger, last longer in cities and urban areas where you've got combined sewer overflows and all that type of stuff. I mean, you end up with a lot of sewage that gets dumped into the river, and nobody wants that. We do strongly believe that SiC is a fantastic technology for that, because you've got a challenge of you got to treat a lot of water with a lot of pollutants in a very short period of time. And then 99% of the time, it just sits there and does nothing. That's the nature of storms. And SiC is one of the few things that can do that. It can actually prevent all that nasty stuff from getting discharged into to a river during a storm. So we do believe that is the next big area for us. It's going to take a lot of effort to develop that, but we're still very bullish on that.
You say you're bullish. That means it's at the beginning of the curve. It's already started, or it's really like something in the future?
I would say, we've done a lot of testing on it where we're, doing the market research, working with customers, trying to find the right customer. It's always, we always go by the 1-5-50 rule. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time to get that number, that first order. Then that leads to 5, and that leads to 50. But we're still focused on getting that first installation, and it's a challenge because there's a lot of political roadblocks. It's there's economic roadblocks to it. So, but we're still pushing forward with it.
Do you have a different bet?
No, I agree with the stormwater. That's a big bet. There are some industrial applications in mining where you have heavy metal removal. That's something where SiC could play a very big role in the future, besides stormwater.
I have the same closing question that I had for your colleagues, which is like the long-term vision. I think we got it, but the next 12 months, what is going to be your next 12 months? But you wanted to show your factory. Do we want to see the factory? You and me discussed your factory on the podcasts around the time where you closed the deal. So I also want to see it.
So this was a cornfield. Okay, it was moving. Okay, the extrusion process. So essentially, not too long ago, what you saw on the picture, that was a cornfield. We built the entire facility there, around 12,000 square meter. We're getting raw material, silicon carbide powder. It goes through a range of different process steps with 20-odd quality control measures along the way. And the final product comes out on the other end. Fully NSF compliant on 61 and 419. Impressive.
And that parking is going to be the next factory.
Yes.
Like literally, or?
This is the only way we can expand right now. We don't need to do that. We have land, plenty of land to realize the expansions that we're working on. Similarly in Denmark as well. We have a building, but we have some extra land where we can expand on in order to realize the growth.
Well, thanks for the virtual tour. I'm looking forward to do the real tour at some point. You're not free from my question, though. What's happening in the next 12 months?
So on the Cembrane side, as I said, it's about ramping up. We want to ramp up, scale up production. We are installing new production lines. We're getting more furnace lines online as well. 50% capacity increase in 12 months. We have realized some investments in the next leg of expansions that we're doing for 2027. On the sales side, we have large-scale drinking water plants, mega-sized drinking water plants installed. We have the orders that we're supplying into in North America, but also in Europe, in Germany and Scandinavia. We've been selling a lot in Middle East and North Africa, and one of our aims is to do more water treatment in not only North America, but also in Europe.
And for my focus over the next 12 months, it's all about project execution. You know, we passed the first hurdle of getting contracts, securing orders. Now we got to deliver and execute these projects and ensure that these systems operate the way that our customers expect them to. That is absolutely paramount as part of this journey, because if we stumble out of the gate, once these commissions start being operational, and by the way, we do have our first operational drinking water plant. It's been up and running for a couple months now, but these big plants that we've got to make sure that they work perfectly. And if they do, then sky's the limit for us.
Well, thanks a lot to both of you for that full picture. And now everybody's going to hate me because you know that what's after the podcasts is a glass of champagne. So I have a little game if you want. You want to play the game, or do you want to send your place to someone else?
I'm terrible at games, but I'll play.
It's a simple game. You have 3 pieces of cardboard. Want to play?
Sure.
I have more. Someone wants to play? Sure. I'm not sure it's a fun game, so maybe you don't. Maybe there's a trick. First, I have 2 different games, so you can decide the one you want to play. I would advise you to take the skip, test, scale, but if you want to go with the overrated, underrated, we can as well. I did explain you what the games are, so trust me, we'll take the skip, test, and scale. And I take a topic, 2 different topics, PFAS, reuse. Which one do you want first? Reuse. I'm going to give you a proposition, and upon that proposition, you take your time to think of it. You don't look at what each other think. You can either say, that is the craziest proposition I've ever heard, and trust me, I've heard some, in which case you show the skip card, because that's stupid and you don't want to do that. I say, you know what? It might have some merits, so let's test it, in which case you show the test card, or no, that's so good that you have to scale it right away. Okay? Now, for context, that doesn't come out of my sick brain. I've been reading some studies and I've taken propositions from those studies. First proposition about reuse. By 2040, drinking recycled sewage water should be as normal as using a smartphone, and any city not doing direct potable reuse is basically committing economic malpractice. We have a scale, and... Don't feel the pressure, Sebastian. To turn it around, test. So, scale, test. Sebastian, why test?
Because there's a lot of water scarcity around. And I think potentially you can do safer and better drinking water from wastewater. Today you get water from surface water sources, you get it from groundwater, you implement a few treatment steps, you can have upsets that impact the final water quality. Unlike when you do it on wastewater, you have so many protective steps, process steps along the way, so you can really engineer the perfect water. So I think it's gonna make more and more sense to do that in bigger cities going forward. 2040, that's an ambitious goal, but let's see.
I'm going to use Frederick as my opponent to you because you want to scale.
Yeah. So
you don't have to be violent.
Just with some context, I'm not an engineer. Why scale? Because I think we don't have a choice. And I'm going to use something I've heard is all the water we have is all the water we will have. So with what I'm seeing in the news and everywhere in the world, we don't have a choice to reuse it. It's going to come with the growth that we see on any technologies with AI coming in. I think it's going to happen.
Okay, so you're throwing in AI, so I need to pick this one as the next one. Any data center consuming over 1 million liters per day should be legally required to use 100% recycled water or face shutdown. That was spontaneous.
Yeah, scale.
I feel like you're going to test, Sebastian.
I don't like the threat they would be subjected to, and there can be local circumstances that makes it a good idea or not a good idea, where you have plenty of water or plenty of water. So I'm a bit hesitant here. Yeah.
Well, kind of similar to what Fred answers was in the previous question. You just have no choice. Where's the water going to come from? You have to.
Do you want one more reuse one, or do I take a PFAS one to round it off? Let's go for a PFAS one. Oh, that's an interesting PFAS one because you will have a tainted opinion on that one. No viable alternatives to fluoropolymers exist for many water technologies, so Europe should accept PFAS as a permanently necessarily evil. Yeah, you should accept that PFAS, yeah.
Oh, no. That's good.
Okay.
To the no.
I see why you would like to skip because, if PVDF is still in the game, it's one less opportunity to replace it. But you said also that you would be the best no matter what.
Yeah. So let me just reiterate that I don't believe that we need a ban in order to grow at all. That's not in our plan or projections. It doesn't change anything. But it is a fact that it does leach out PFAS components. It is a fact that it's a problem. It's an increasing hazard, and I have kids, and one day I'll have grandkids, and I don't want to leave a world where this is a big problem.
Sounds good. Fred, Mike?
Sure.
I do believe with regulatory issues, especially ones that have a very profound impact, that there needs to be some practicality to it. You need to avoid the knee-jerk reaction. And so if you're going to lay down the hammer that's very significant, because it does have a profound impact across many industries, you should have a very high degree of certainty that what you're saying is in fact true. So
exactly. I think for the future generation, there's so many circumstances that it's going to be hard for them from buying a house to anything. So if we could leave them water without PFAS in it, we have a chance to break that cycle and end it for all.
I'm just looking at my proposition, and I think all the ones I have not taken are even crazier than the one I gave you. So I think we should maybe stop here. Thanks a lot for playing the game. Thanks a lot for sharing your path. And
Thank you, Antoine, for making this happen here. We're really happy to have you on site. So thanks again. And please, if you haven't done that already, I suggest everybody to scan that link and subscribe and follow our friend Antoine.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to Don't Waste Water. This podcast was brought to you by GF Piping Systems. Loved this episode? Head over to Apple Podcasts to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. See you next time.